I have a question for you. Does your brain stay focused on what you're doing wrong instead of celebrating what you're doing right? That's a habit that won't help you move forward toward your goals. Today, we're going to talk about why it's so important to change this habit. Hello, my friend. I'm Cookie Rosenblum, your master weight loss coach and author, and I'm here to help you stop overeating. This is episode 285, How to Stop Focusing on What's Wrong and Start Focusing on What's Right. Before we start, just a quick reminder to get my free training, How to Stop Overeating in 3 Steps. You can get it by going to weightlossmadereal.com/3 steps, the number 3, because you need to stop overeating if weight loss is your goal. I know you know that, and this is my gift to you. So let's get started on our episode. Do you do this? Someone gives you a compliment and you deflect. You deflect it saying, yes, I did do that well, but look at this other thing that I did. You shrug off the good things you do and focus all the time on what you didn't do well, or you didn't get done at all. You make light of the good things and you shine a bright light on things that are not going well. You constantly think about what's not working, what you did wrong, any misstep you might have made. You pretty much ignore anything you did that was right, went well, or took you a step closer to your goals. You're negating the good things that you're doing simply because you're still not where you want to be yet. You're not at your final goal. So you think all those good things you're doing along the way just don't count. It used to be that when I asked my clients how they were doing since the last time we spoke, I'd get a long laundry list of all the things they thought they had done wrong. Well, I had a big emotional overeating session last night, and I feel awful today. Or, I got so upset with my husband that I finished a big bag of potato chips last week. Or, you wouldn't believe how little exercise I've done since we last spoke. And on and on. You'd think that there was some big benefit to focusing on what they did wrong, literally. I heard this so much that I'll bet that if I had called you and asked you the same question, and we were talking about your efforts to stop overeating, the first thing you'd focus on would be the things you thought were not going well. Tell me if you're guilty of any of these things. You wanted to wait to feel hungry before you started eating, and stop when you had enough. What happened was you did wait until you were hungry before you started eating, but then you zoned out while you were eating and oops, you ate a little bit too much and you didn't catch that sweet spot of just enough food. I ask you how it went and your answer is terrible. I ate too much. See what I mean? You're ignoring what you did right and focusing on what didn't work. That negative focus leads you to think things like, see, I just can't do this. And how do you feel when you think that way? You feel down, you feel pessimistic. The reality, the truth is that something went well and something needs more practice. That's all. Here's one more example. See if you can identify with this. Your goal for the week was to have food in the house so you could prep for the coming week. So when you were hungry, what you wanted and needed would be readily available for you. Well, what went well is that you did plan and you did shop, but your energy petered out before you could get the food ready. And when I ask you how you did with the goals you had for yourself, you say something like, I failed. I didn't do what I said I would do. And you think again, nothing is working for me. And you feel frustrated and maybe a little bit of shame at disappointing yourself once again. But the reality is, again, something did go well. You did it and you followed through with exactly what you said you'd do. Just part of it didn't happen. And that part can be your focus for next week. That's all. Now, why does ignoring your wins and focusing on your fails feel so natural to you? Remember, your brain is wired to make sure you survive. And that means even if it feels like it doesn't make sense, we are all wired to focus on the bad, on what we messed up, what we didn't expect, what we didn't follow through on. Looking at what is wrong is a way of protecting ourselves. We notice things that might be different, that might threaten us, so we can focus on them and try to change them to make sure that we are safe. But in our world today, most of these things that don't go right are usually not real threats to us. They're just notices that something needs a correction. They're signs that you're doing something new and you're learning, but we don't need to focus on them. But that's what we do. So we need to train ourselves to notice our mistakes, learn from them, and move on. Maybe you've heard of Dr. Rick Hanson, who is a psychologist and researcher and author of many books, and is an expert on positive neuroplasticity. He studies and writes about science-based happiness and mindfulness. He discovered that the human brain has a natural negativity bias to focus on negative experiences much more deeply than positive ones. According to him, the brain is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. This is a well-used expression in the world of mindfulness and psychology to help us understand why we give more attention to our mistakes than to our successes. When you have a negative, fear-based, shameful experience or an insecure thought, your mind is going to wrap around it tight, just like Velcro. And I want you to picture how hard it is to unstick two pieces of Velcro when they are stuck together. When you have a positive experience, for example, you receive a compliment or someone congratulates you, it slides off like melted butter on a Teflon skillet. This is just the way our brains are. They're hardwired to form strong pathways to remember negative experiences and quickly forget our positive ones. Remember, that's to protect us. So, if this is what we naturally seem to do, why is it a problem that we focus on the negatives and shrug off the positives? And we're going to talk about why I think you should consciously try to stop doing this. When you focus on what's wrong with you, your life, your body, your eating, your actions, the thoughts that you create from this negative spotlight make you feel bad, ashamed, hopeless, pessimistic, and fundamentally flawed. So what happens then? Well, when you feel bad, you know by now that you tend to take actions that are not in your best interest. When you focus on the negative, it will always create negative feelings. And then, of course, you're very likely to take negative actions. So then, why would you be surprised that you're creating negative results? If you want to accomplish something, there will be ups and downs along the way. It's to your advantage to catch your focus going to the what's wrong column and move it over to the what's working column. I know you want to know how to change this, right? How to change your focus to what's right. Here's how you start. When I realized how commonplace doing this was for my coaching clients, this focus on things that weren't going well instead of what was going in the right direction, I decided to ask them a new question. I asked them to ask themselves daily, what am I doing right every day? Really? And we do this in the Freedom Group. What's going well? You might be in the habit, or maybe you should be, of doing a daily gratitude practice. It's like a list, and it can be in your head or on paper, but thinking about what you're grateful for puts your brain in a place of peace. And when you do that, you're able to receive more of the good stuff in your life. And you're actually looking for things that are good, that you appreciate, and that you're grateful for. Well, after you focus on what you're grateful for, it's my suggestion that you then focus on what you've done right. Think of it as a daily boost. You did it when you were a kid, remember? You'd come back to school after a weekend or a holiday break, and you could not wait to raise your hand to share what you did with your teacher and your class. All the things you did and accomplished and were proud of. You were not modest, right? It was your chance to brag about what you were doing that was right and felt good. You were not modest about it. I mean, think back. We all could really brag, and bragging made you feel good. I want to suggest that you make a daily practice of asking yourself, what went well? What did I do right? What am I proud of right this minute? List every little thing, and maybe even keep a written list. You know I'm a big proponent of writing things down. If you do this regularly, what can you expect? When you're trying to lose weight or just end the drama of your overeating habits, you're going to take a series of steps. Now, some of them will take right away, and some will be more challenging and will have to be repeated and tweaked many times. But if you focus on what went wrong instead of what went right, it's no wonder you're not as successful as you wish you were. You might think that bragging means that you're too self-centered or overly confident or maybe just too full of yourself. But when you think about what's right, what's working, you're creating good feelings. Pride in yourself feels good, and feeling good is the most direct route to getting what you want. Continued success on the road to becoming a natural eater. It's also a way of caring for yourself. It helps you get your needs met by you, the person who should know most about what you need. And this is not at all self-centered in my book. It's just smart. Think of this as a daily practice. You can do it in the morning and review how yesterday was. Ask yourself what you felt good about during the day, how you impressed yourself. Or you can do it at the end of your day and think back to what you did that went well that day, even if it was a small thing. All things count and eventually add up, even small things. Your journey to becoming a natural eater is made up of hundreds of small steps, small accomplishments. Now, if you're doing this exercise a couple of times, notice how you feel when you list all the small things you feel good about. Things you did, things you made happen. When you focus on those things, you feel good, yes? Proud, happy, capable, optimistic. And when you feel this way, it's always easier then to follow with more good actions. And by the way, in case you're thinking about keeping a list of what you did wrong, there is no benefit to listing what you did wrong on paper or even in your mind. Your brain will naturally want to keep offering you that as an option. Yes, you do want to briefly look at what you did and look at why it didn't work and how you could do better next time. But that's it. I want you to give much more of your attention to what went well for you, what you did right. So here is your action step for this coming week. This week, I want you to experiment with getting yourself focused on giving yourself credit for the things you've done well. I want you to start here and choose one day, any day. You can start today, right now, and keep an ongoing list, written would be better, and list every little thing you do that takes you in the right direction. This list doesn't mean that you reached your ultimate goal, whatever that is for you, but it does mean that you're collecting evidence that you're heading in the right direction. You will be amazed at how this little shift in your focus will make you feel better. And when you feel good, you know what will happen. You'll do more things that are inspiring and helpful to you. What are you doing right? What's going well? And what are you proud of? And no buts. Say it, write it, and don't add, but I didn't do that other thing. Got it? Let's make this your goal for the week. And one more thing. I want you to keep the list that you make each day. I want you to keep adding to it every day. You'll be accumulating personal proof that you can do new things, you can do hard things, and yes, eventually that you can change. All right, my friend, you know what you're going to think about and do this week. One last reminder, within the next several days, if you're on the wait list for the Freedom Group, you're going to get a very special announcement. It's not too late to get on that waiting list, and that is weightlossmadereal.com/group. If you get on the waiting list, look for my email coming, in about a week or so, that will let you know of a very, very special private offer we have only for people on the wait list. For now, this is your Coach Cookie reminding you that as you search for answers, keep it real, just like you, and I will see you next week.